So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live, and we are coming to you from LifestyleRadio.ca. I'm your host, Al Graham. Tonight, my joint host, who is scheduled, Allison Murden, has called in. She's a little bit under the weather, so I told her to take tonight off. All of us here at the Pace Radio Show are patients, and being under the weather happens. It's something that, we are patients. We are sick people. So I told Allison to take the night off, that her health is much more important than, an hour show. Let's just make sure that she gets better and she can keep doing what she's doing. So with Allison away, it would just be me and my guest, a person who has been putting on educational seminars when I started getting involved in the cannabis community. It's over 13 years ago. And he's also an author and a man who's been who has fought before the courts in the past. But before I introduce him, I'd like to have a little bit of a news item, as we normally have. According to a CTV report, Toronto Mayor John Tory says local officials may be forced to crack down on the growing number of cannabis dispensaries in the city. This after the mayor made a surprise visit to the a dispensary in the city's downtown market over the past weekend. He says it's not acceptable, but I do accept the fact that and endorse the fact that we're changing the law. But I've said all along that it has to be done in an orderly fashion. So obviously he doesn't think it's being done in an orderly fashion. He went on to say that if Ottawa fails to introduce regulations that apply to dispensaries, the city may need to step in with its own regulations, and that would dictate how far the shops can be located from one another, to how far the business can be located near schools, or how far they have to be away from the schools. So basically, it sounds a lot like some of the stuff that you're hearing out of Vancouver and Victoria, the city going ahead and coming up with some type of regulations. And Tory says he plans to sit down with the Toronto MP, Bill Blair, to discuss the upcoming marijuana legalization. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, whether the city of Toronto moves ahead without waiting for the government. Sort of does the same thing over in British Columbia. So we'll see what happens in time. So, all right. At this time, I'd like to welcome the person I described as an author and a longtime cannabis advocate that I've watched over the years, many years. I'd like to welcome Matt Murnoff to the Pace Radio Show. Matt, are you there?
Thanks for having me on the show, Al.
Hey, it's always great to talk to you, Matt. You and I, we've talked back and forth for many years, so it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
It is always a pleasure to be on your show.
Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. Hey, it's all about spreading the education and information, and we'll be doing that tonight. Well, to get started, Matt, over the weekend there, I got to see you. I hadn't seen you in quite some time. I got to get together with you at the Toronto Global Marijuana March. Yeah,
the march was. We saw you at the march. You were doing the live webcasting there. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, that was something that through technology, we were learning more and more things. I had some people introduce me to Google Hangout here at Lifestyle Radio, and because of that, I was able to go around and interview 23 people during the day at the march, all through my phone.
That's amazing.
And that was it.
I think Yeah, I think that's amazing, Al. I just love how technology allows us to do this.
Yeah, I got a splitter for my phone, which allowed me to have a separate microphone and separate headphones, another splitter on there so that I could get a headphone to the guests as well as myself, so we could hear the people in the studio, as the 420 radio show was also involved in that. And so it was great to have the two shows together, ask some questions to so many people, and get everybody involved. So, and we hope to do that at other events down the road. So you never know, Matt. I could grab you again. Go ahead.
Well, I hope you do. I hope you do it again, because I the Periscope and all these other live. I think Facebook Live is going to be big in the future. All these types of things provided intimacy to people who are either out of town, outside of the Toronto area, or outside of a protest area and want to at least see what's going on, or disabled and can't get there. I mean, obviously that's a big thing, and those people deserve to see what's happening and what's being protested about, especially when you're talking about medicinal cannabis.
Correct, exactly. And we had with the 420 radio show, there was Marcel and Lori that were on the show with us that day. And they've never been to a global march. So for them, it made them feel to them as if they were there.
Exactly. And that's always how I felt about doing the live, is that providing people that they could see what's going on and to be there. And I think marijuana activism in Toronto in terms of webcasting live has been something of a phenomenon people aren't familiar with. It's been going on for quite some time. So I'm great to see more people doing it.
Exactly, because that's it helps. It's a way for us to get our voices heard, to get it out there for people to share their stories and information. So
you're positive cannabis media.
Correct. Exactly. It is. And with these, whether we're using a phone or someone just has a camera, like even part of the airing on Saturday from the march, there was about 40 minutes where I actually broadcasted live on YouTube and was using my phone and allowing people to see what was going on down there.
It's just unbelievable what we can do with the technology and how we're using it. And it's kind of where I'm at also, is that, no offense, Al, you and I are kind of old to be adapting to these technologies and then using them in the ways that we are. You would think it would be led by millennials, webcasting their experiences, but it's funny enough, it's us old farts that are doing it and having a great time doing it.
Yeah, because we never had any of this technology years ago. Really, the internet's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago for me.
Yeah.
But so what did you think of this year's march? Did you think that we had more vendors at it than we have in the past?
Well, I think in the first, let's start where it's not vending. I mean, they're sure. Cannabis sellers with tents. Let's describe what they're doing. They're selling cannabis, they're in tents, and they're branding. There is a lot more of them again this year. I love it.
Yeah.
I as someone who has always said just bring a tent and show up, this one turned out that way. Even when the city just tried to shut it down with no more permits, I think the people have shown that, well, wait a second, we'll just show up and we'll set up our own tent.
Yeah. I can remember the year after they shut down the festival part of it all. People were sort of trying to be really quiet about things. Maybe the odd wagon or something, handing things off here and there, having a sign on them. But this year they came right out in full force with those shelters and the booths and everything. It was just almost as if it was the old Freedom Festival without the stage and the toilets.
Yeah, pretty much set up the same way as in 2005 when they had the setup there. It was pretty along the same similar lines. And they did it without organization, really. They did it on their own. Nobody, set them up that way. People just did what they did. And I, what are you going to do? I thought it was, I think it's kind of neat to see it evolve. This is the second or third year now that it's gotten bolder and bolder every year with the tents. As you said, the first year after, but it started growing as people realized, well, the police aren't coming in. And that's what you and I have determined. But the 1 year we've done a couple, led the march. The police is prepared to sit back. But they might not start preparing to sit back as if people, especially young people, are getting really stoned out of their minds on edible foods, hospital visits, and that type of thing. And I guess what we can lead into is that I love seeing all those tents. I saw more people just milling about and vending than in the march itself. So that was point number one I'd like to make. The second point, we could talk about the march being organized, but more people were focused on their branding than on any advocacy.
They're getting the word out or making a point. You're talking about they're more concerned about the business end of it all.
Right. Well, the more business, but not just like they weren't just selling cupcakes wrapped in cellophane. Like they went out of their way to brand their product. They spent time on Instagram. And the funny, they didn't even look at Health Canada labeling guidelines for food. None of that. They just went on Instagram and went, I like branding images, and I'm going to slap my image and logo and call me legit.
That's that's I guess that's partially to do with the lack of regulations and control, where people just going ahead and doing what they want.
Right, but I got no problem with people putting brands on cannabis. That's what I'm doing. What I have a problem with is not following any Health Canada labeling. Not that they, it's all easy, but they can't make the effort to even show that they could follow some rules. But we talked on Saturday at the Global Marijuana March about some of the labeling that was going on in some of the products, and questioning whether if you saw something that said 125 milligrams of THC in it, did it really have that? Right. Do we I still question it? I still question when you did the batch test. What lab did you use? Like if you're gonna try and be this way as like an LP, just go for it.
Then they should get the proper testing, get the proper labeling on there, so people know what they're about to consume, right?
Right, but I would suggest is that people are just slapping numbers on there. No offense to any of the fine bakers out there that are doing stuff, and I've checked with other bakers that were there that weren't just selling. Like, I was like, are these numbers? Like, and they're like, dude, you're right. You know what I mean? I've seen it. I've seen it myself at some of the products I've seen go by there. Like I mentioned the 125 milligrams in a drink, and you think, well, if I drank one of those, I should be pretty, it's pretty stoned by the time I'm done it. But instead you might have some gas. I don't know. I don't drink pop, so. But you were going to say something? It would be just like you said, 125 milligrams. Like that's just an Peace Naturals Omega 24. I think has like just under. It's like 650 milligrams of THC. You would be drinking 1/6 of that.
Yeah, you would be. Wow.
That's I assure you, as someone who's trying the Omega,
Yeah,
125 should light you up like the 4th of July.
But yeah, it's not. So yeah, it'd be nice to see them getting the proper labeling on.
Did you just say that?
What's that?
Did you just say it, but it's not?
No, I said it'd be nice for them to get all the proper labeling on everything, get it all properly tested so that the patients would know what they're consuming.
Right, and that's what I would argue too, is that, hey man, like, I don't mind your brand, but at least look at what Health Canada food labeling guidelines are.
Yeah.
But the other thing about it is, in a world of what is going on right now, Bill C-45 shutting down vape lounges, Justin Trudeau essentially shutting out the cannabis movement from any discussion. There was more interest in branding your product than any advocacy at the GMM. I hate to break it to people. That's what I saw there. All I saw was a large branding exercise. And
people trying to sell their products.
Yeah.
Well, out on the march, there wasn't really a lot of, there were some signs, but there wasn't a lot. There wasn't the banners like there was in the past.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay, we've got a few minutes here before we go to our break. Okay, I'm going to switch topics here, go from that to something that I believe I know you've been working on for a long time, and that's your book. What can you tell us about? You got a new one coming out. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it'll be like 2017. I mean, it'll be like right around when cannabis is legal. I hope to have it out. These things take time in terms of publishing. It's great. I've just anticipated I'll sell more copies. The first one, thanks to everybody's effort and people like yourself having me on your show and promoting it. The Marijuana Smoker's Guidebook's a bestseller in Canada. Like, it's an absolute honor to have a best-selling book. People don't realize like how many copies we've been able to sell, and it also makes my value as an author go up. So, next type of cannabis books I look forward to pitching and doing better on. Like, the cannabis is doing great, but it's nice to be able to have sales behind it.
Correct. Exactly. So as far as the book bestseller, that's basically, I would say, your first one. For those who don't know what it's called, I realize there's a lot of people who do, but there's always some people who don't, right?
Yeah, it's the Marijuana Smoker's Guidebook, the easy way to identify and enjoy marijuana strains. It's sold out right now on Amazon, so you can't get a copy. That's what's going on there. However, if you come to the Lift Expo, I have the last box that they printed. So I have the last box of first prints. My cat requires dental surgery, so I will be signing books at the Lift Expo. All money raised is going to go towards paying for this cat dental surgery. Starting price is $20 a book, but if you can afford to give me a couple extra bucks more to pay for this cat surgery, that would be awesome. So they're sold out. Marijuana Smoker's Guidebook. I have the last 30 books going with me to the Lift Expo, so track me down there if you want one.
And you make it a partial fundraiser to help your pet. That's good because pets are people's best friends at times. So.
Oh, she's been with me. Penny Lane's been with me. All through the court crap, all through all that stress. The cat's been with me like on the bed every night type thing. So now that she's older and I'm in a bit of a position to do this, it's nice to be able to offset some costs.
Yeah, and she's been there to help you along the way, and now it's your chance to give her a hand. So give her some dental work. Yeah, for sure. Hey, animals got to eat too, So, okay, it's break time. Tonight our bumpers feature the music of Rick Reimer with his song "The Kilo Rasta Man." I'll get that out right before the show is over. When we return, I will continue talking with my guest, Matt Murnaugh, the author of Marijuana Smoker's Guidebook. This is the Pace Radio Show on LifestyleRadio.ca.
about a guy named Bob. A proud Rasta man didn't want to steal the rod, but he had to feed his family. Things were getting hard, so he plants a little ganja in his backyard. Pot, that is. Acapulco Gold.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet. www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on LifestyleRadio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Well, the first thing you know, those plants are getting tall. The neighbors come and sis and look over the wall. They said, "Hey Bob, go and gouge you can't do." He loaded up his seeds and he moved to Killaloo. Hills, that is.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at LifestyleRadio.ca, and we can also be found at Spreaker as well as on Mixcloud. And don't forget, we are live. And also don't forget to tune in this Friday night for Al, Marcel, and the rest of the Friday night 420 crew here at LifestyleRadio.ca. Tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. for 2 hours of informative and sometimes crazy talk, as well as some great music and guests. And I know from experience, last Saturday, it was a great time working with all of them. So I know you'll have a great time listening to them as well. So tune into them Friday night, as I said, 7 p.m., 2 hours. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I am joined by my guest, Matt Murnaugh, the author of Marijuana Smoker's Guidebook. And talking about book, Matt, I've got a few more questions for you about your book before we move on to the next subject.
Sounds good.
Okay. Basically, how long does it take you to write one of these books? Like you have to test your samples and all that type of stuff. How long does it take you to do one of these?
About 18 to 24 months. Sometimes,
wow, really?
I'll go through a batch, and as you say, you're testing. Do you usually try and go through like a session with it, just like normally, and then I go through a writer session with it to really get an idea of what's going on there. And then sometimes, I mean, like, you know, Medman brand, Redbeard Glass, some of these guys, like they gave me flats, and by flats I mean like 16 or 24 jars to a flat would arrive of their strains. And let me tell you, if you think going through a Cannabis Cup or one of those competitions that Medman brand has entered, like imagine trying to sample 24 of his.
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah.
like,
I know, because he's won some awards in the past for sure.
Right.
So,
and you're just like, well, you know, I'm gonna like have to take a nap, or you know, you get through like you smoke like a vape, you do a vape session, and you're just like, you only did like a little nug, like you just chiseled off a piece, and you're just like, whoa, this stuff's pretty heavy. Same with Redbeard. I mean, like I've gotten so much good cannabis for the guide. It's just unbelievably great. The amount of people that have contributed because they just love growing. And they're like me. I love growing marijuana for myself. And the people who contribute, generally speaking, are the growers. People who are like, man, like I say, like Redbeard from Redbeard Glass, he saved cola tops for me. And I'm still to like, are you sure, man? Like, that's a huge contribution. Jordan of the
Cola
Islands
top?
is the same.
Cola top to do a test. Wow.
Right.
That's quite the size.
Yeah, and so that's again. I same with Jordan of the Island. Like he'll like he's cropping out now. He's like, man, I got like a whole bunch more to send you, just even to photograph for my website. So it's been a joy.
Yeah, I imagine. I can just imagine it has been. a lot of people would like that end of it, the testing. I don't know about all the writing end of it all, though. You know?
And the photography.
Yeah, and the photography, and making sure that it's all right. That part is a lot of work. The enjoyment is obviously doing the testing, though.
Right. Oh yeah. It's all it all goes hand in hand. And also for a lot of the first and a good chunk of the second book, I grew. If it wasn't donated, I grew it myself. Like in that first book, I grew. I think, 75 or more of them. Like I grew a good chunk of them.
Wow.
The same with the second book, where I'm like,
how many strains do you have in the books? Like
the first one 150. The second one's going to be 200 strains. I'm still trying to get about 30 more concentrates in there, so it'll be like 200 strains and 50 concentrates.
Oh, so you're adding to this one, like with the concentrates. You didn't have them in the first one, did you?
I didn't have them in the first book. In fact, I went back to the publisher for the second one. I was like, hey, we should cover concentrates. I was just about finished, and they came back, and they're like, yeah, we think you're right. You should go back and cover concentrates. And you're just like, oh, you know, like, welcome to the world of book writing.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to reading that. Now, in your first book, you mentioned that it's been sold out. You've had a few reprints done of it?
Reprints are coming in the fall, I believe. It's up to Green Candy Press. It just kind of depends. They tell me that they actually will sell more on the reprint than the first run. So all you first print people that have copies, that's going to be a collector's item. I'm going to work hard on that.
Yeah. Can you? Is there any way you can, with the second book, would you be increasing the first print?
Like numbers? I mean, Green Candy Press will take care of all that for sure. It just depends. Like the first time you put a book out, it goes through distributors, and they're not obviously going to pick up a new author. They pick it up based on the publisher, and then it's up to the author to get out there and sell it. Oddly enough, so now that you've sold a lot, they're going to buy more.
Yes, and especially like you say, this comes out in 2017, and Canada's looking at legalization. There's more and more movement down in the U.S. More states are going to have that on their ballots. So more people will be looking for information, and a book like yours will be something that can help guide them to the proper strains. Whether it's for medicinal use or for recreational use.
Agreed. I'm really looking forward to it. I also find it's like beer or wine reviewing. And I've always grew up writing reviews. I wrote music reviews to really start my young writing career as a 20-year-old. As a magazine writer, I was writing music reviews. So it just kind of encapsulates what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, and you've got all that training, schooling and stuff, and journalism and everything in the background.
Yeah, go figure, right? Like I'm a Humber School for Writers graduate. It's actually one of 2 colleges in North America that offer strictly guidance for authors. If you've ever considered writing, I highly recommend people apply for the program. And it's great to be in that. Oh, well, I'm in the best-selling author category now in that program, too, just for a weed book.
But an important one. All right. Gonna switch gears. Once again, we're talking about your book, which, some people might think writing is a job, but you also have a full-time job doing something else. You want to tell us about that?
Well, for sure, and then it's odd to be working 9 to 5. I began work in February 1st with the Peace Naturals Project as their marketing, communications, and product specialist. It's, to tell you the truth, it's pretty much everything I still do. It's not much of a difference. It's still writing every day. I've been writing, I wrote 10 tips for mental health, broke it up into 2 5-tip blogs. And that was some of the blog writing we've been doing, tips on how to have a healthy heart. And so these are some of the things that I've wanted to expand on my writing. It's also, as I was looking around what's going on, I'm like, there was a good opportunity to try something new without, not being too new.
Correct. So, social media, you're talking about marketing there. Social media, you involved in that with them?
Yeah. If Peace Naturals tweets you, I'm the person writing that tweet. If you send a tweet to Peace Naturals looking for a question, I'm the person that takes it over to my coworker in client care, in the client care department. I'm like, we have this question. They help me understand what the appropriate answer will be, and then I figure out a 140-character answer based on their answer to my questions. Like, hey, this question came in from a client. And it's also media outreach in terms of reaching out to people online that are tweeting, like fibromyalgia and multiple sclerosis and learning about those illnesses, and then tweeting to our clients that, things such as fibro flare-up. I think those blogs are amazing, and I've been get a chance to read more of those. And learn.
So these are blogs. These are blogs that are posted at the Peace Naturals website.
Yeah, that was the first biggest project we began. Was the Peace Naturals has a brand new website, and I'm very proud of it. I think the design is incredibly well designed. The people there.
I was at it there today.
So the design, it's just like when you put my words in with the design, it just looks like there are times when I look at the Peace Naturals website and I look at the words and I look at the graphic and I just like, this is actually really, really amazing. Like, I kind of catch myself. I'm like, did I create this? I would love people to look at our Instagram. I mean, we did a whole profile on CBD, THC, CBG, CBC, not the broadcaster. Like, here are your cannabinoids. Like things that I think that are come from the community that have been brought into the mainstream. It's like I like to see it as we're trying to create a website that's gonna, as I think, appeal to my mom and dad. That they need to look at it and read it in a certain way. And those are things that I find a challenge and I enjoy doing. I mean, I think the website, and we have a new brochure coming out Both my writing is very complemented by the person doing design, and the writing it's a challenge, which as a writer I need to challenge myself. And also, like, I find that I wasn't writing as much lately. So now I have to, I'm almost writing every day, which is good. I'm turning out a lot.
And basically, it sounds like what you're writing about when it comes to some of this, information would be, maybe some of it together with your book where you have information about your strains, but now you're also providing them information about Peace Naturals through your brochures and communicating with them that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the same thing in communication. I'm still teaching you how to use a volcano vaporizer. Like, at the end of the day, I mean, one of the first requests to come in was a blog on what temperature they should vape. People should be vaporizing at. I was like, really? All right, this is awesome. How many times I've written, how many times have I written and spoken about how to use your vaporizer, how to get the best temperature out of your vaporizer. I think these are things that are kind of taken for granted, and I think, Pieces Naturals has said, no, we want our clients to gain this knowledge on our website, and I've been given an opportunity to speak to our clients, and at the same time, I am a client. People, I am a client.
Well, could you sort of say, some places where you start off, you start at the bottom, you work your way up. You went to Peace Naturals as a patient. You registered with them when they first got started with the MMPR, and now you're still a patient, but now you're also working with them and involved in a very important part of their business.
Right, and I think I agree. I mean, I've taken my time to see how the MMPR is going to unfold. I didn't jump either way. So as a patient, I've watched this product get to the point where this is amazing. This product is something I can stand for and be behind, especially it was last summer. I would go to the Jays game and I would medicate in the park, and first couple times, people would look, and I would notice that the quality of the aroma coming out of the cannabis, our terpenes were getting better and better and better. And then near the end of the J season, I got stopped by the cops. They were just excuse me, sir, you smell like cannabis. I was like, oh, you mean my medical marijuana? Hey, you want to see it? I stank, from smoking marijuana in that park. And I think that's a good test. That to me is a good test. If it smells really good and it smokes really well and it's clean cannabis, and I think that was the test, and that really got me intrigued more and more about how it could be done correctly. So
correct.
The opportunity with Peace is, as on the product specialist side, I talked about the marketing, but as the product specialist, I get an opportunity to watch our plants grow from clone all the way to how it's packaged and then shipped to the client, to getting that client feedback. I'm the person that says, hey, if 20 people send us messages on emails or basically through social media that says that wasn't flushed as much as I would have liked, I could be the guy that goes to the master grower and says, man, I'm getting flack out here because we didn't flush. Yeah. By the way, we flush amazing. But these are things where I kind of think it's awesome. I can take, man, I gotta use this.
I'm going to use the same medication that I'm, watching over here. I'm going to use this as well. So I want to be just, good for me too. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And our grower, by the way, Dave, he is also a patient, and he came from the MMAR program. Peace Naturals CEO Mark Abudi was a grower in the MMAR program for his parents. I don't think people are aware of that. I think people should be more aware of that. That's on our website. They finally convinced Mark to come out and say this. He's never said it. It's publicly now on the website that, hey, this company grew out of the MMAR. There was a fellow who was growing cannabis for his mom and dad for their illness legally, who researched cannabis, that he went to Israel to a legal clinic and had that moment. You and I all have had that moment of medical cannabis where it has touched our lives, and it has touched his life in a way in which he has the smarts on the corporate side of things to run a business to do this.
So it didn't start off as a huge corporation. It started out just as a designated grower
for his mom and dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
We grew in a barn. We still grow in a barn.
Barn. Oh, right. I think a straw and hay then.
Well, we don't have the straw and the hay, but I mean, like it's been renovated and we've been cleaned up, and we have a facility. We just announced that we've been producing out of our new facility now too. We have a big second 15,000 square foot facility. It's like the size of a Canadian Tire without any. It's just amazing. So we're still using the barn, but we finally have this really big facility. It has like 250 ballasts at some point.
Okay, well let's get into that after the break.
Okay.
All right, we'll go for a break, and then we'll talk about Peace Natural, how big it is, what all is involved in accessing your job, and so on and so forth. All right. So yeah, as I mentioned, commercial break. Tonight our bumper music features cannabis patient Rick Reimer and a song "The Killer Rasta Man." Then when I return, I will continue this conversation with Matt Murnock. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show live here on LifestyleRadio.ca.
In the hills liked having Bob around. He grew the finest ganja from here to well-known town. He lived in the woods, didn't do no one no harm. The buds on his plants grew as thick as your arm.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The National Task Force on Medicinal Cannabis is a group of not-for-profit organizations dedicated to influencing government policy with factual evidence. Our mission is to ensure that a constitutional medical program is developed that will address the concerns of all Canadians that require therapeutic cannabis. The task force is looking for dedicated people who are willing to contribute to our cause. We have formed this task force to foster a unified approach and focus on lobbying the federal government and Health Canada. We represent the combined expertise of thousands of patients with more than a decade of experience. As a task force participant, you, your business, or your group will have an opportunity to show that you care and offer your unique skills to promote the cause. If you would like to get involved, go to medcanataskforce.org. That's medcanataskforce.org and use the Contact Us link to get started. Help us help you.
Tune into the Pace Radio Show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, or Allison Murden, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at LifestyleRadio.ca.
About life in Killaloo. There's way too much police with not enough to do. When Rastaman go ganja, it just takes a little time till Johnny Law comes to the scene of the crime. Felony, that is. helicopters, taser guns.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the Pace Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live at LifestyleRadio.ca and on Spreaker. Plus, you can find us at YouTube and TuneIn Radio. Tonight, our bumper music features the sounds of Rick Reimer, a man who has fought and impaired by drugs driving charge and beat it due to his medical condition, and him being a very good lawyer. Tonight, we featured the song Killaloo Rastaman, and I'm told Killaloo is a very interesting place. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, Matt Murnaugh, who works for Peace Naturals in their marketing department and is also the author of Marijuana's Smoker's Guidebook, with part 2 coming out in a couple of years. If you're looking for part 1, that says sorry, but it's sold out. But you could get maybe a copy at the Lift Expo, which comes up on May the 28th and 29th. At the Metro Toronto Convention Center in downtown Toronto. All right, Matt, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you, Al. Thanks for inviting me on the program tonight.
Hey, it's always good to talk to you, Matt. Okay, before the break, Matt, we were talking a bit about Peace Naturals. You were mentioning some stuff about how big it is, some of its lighting, and so on and so forth. Did you want to fill us in what's all new there and what all Peace Naturals is about?
Well, I think we're growing cannabis. I think it's not something, we're growing in soil. The plants yield about 200 grams per. We don't jam them in. You can casually walk down the aisles of them. They get one-on-one plant care. I don't, but they have someone who's in there whose job it is every day to count leaves that have fallen off plants and track them individually, so they can tell you, like, yesterday, this plant lost this many, like plant 1 and then plant 2 lost this leaf, So they track a lot of things. It's pretty amazing. Like, it's a pretty interesting facet to watch, and how much they.
A lot different than the home grower, I take it, eh?
It's different in only the fact that how it has, in terms of like it's being produced in a way. We're just making sure that we always have enough going out the door. Like I think that's one of the biggest issues at Peace Naturals, and has always been, like, our vault's always empty. Which is great. We appreciate that. And it's trying to get so that we're always have stock on hand for clients.
Yeah.
And that requires the management of an assembly line. And we have a fellow whose job he comes from an assembly line background, and he can get the plants moving from point A to point Z, so to speak.
Correct. So
it's pretty fascinating.
During the Global Marijuana March, we were talking about what it takes for somebody to access their job. Did you want to go through that again?
For sure.
Yeah.
Secure. I mean, like, again, you go back. It's not like a homegrown. I think that's what people don't understand, and I think people need to grasp, right. Health Canada and the government of Canada is only going to really be interested in security, diversion to minors, diversion into secondary markets. They're very much interested in those aspects. They're not so much interested in how and the whys of the growing. Yes, that's part of it, but everything comes down to, like, how intense is your security system? And it's pretty funny, like, to get to the grow. For instance, the one facility used to check in just to go to work. I mean, like everybody else, you key fob and you enter a passcode, so that gets you into the gate. But then you're not into the facility. That gets me into the cottage office where we work. And then to get into the facility itself, it requires me to key fob through the barbed wire gate. I then have to key fob and enter my passcode in a holding area, I guess you could say it is, like a staff area, like to get changed, put my booties on, put my hairnet on, put my lab coat on. So I've now hit, the gate. So we've done like 2 key fobs. I have to key fob again. So, yeah, there's a lot of key fobbing in Pasco.
There's a lot of key fobbing going on. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny, like, to get to the grow, you're going like key fob Pasco, key fob Pasco, key fob one more time. Oh, and then it's a special door that opens with like It's odd. Like even Health Canada, they were so proud of how many inspections they've done of like surprise inspections they've done. Like pharmaceutical companies would gasp in horror. Like they don't get, like, we only wish the meat supply of this country and the food supply of this country was inspected as well as Health Canada has inspected all licensed producers. It's been a source of pride with them. Like you would think we're making plutonium and not like bubble hash, all naturally, cold extract from our own water well, right? Like, here we are, 3-bag bubble bag kit in the kitchen, some ice, like not a problem. And it's not the same situation, but it's, you know what I mean? But
yes.
To get to that situation, though, it requires like 4 doors of locks and passcodes.
Yeah. That's, you almost sound just as tight as a top secret situation, like a top secret environment, whether it's military or whatever.
Right, and
with all that security.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what's required.
As far as this, let's move from security and stuff that is at Peace Naturals to some of the stuff that Peace Naturals is maybe doing. Do you guys get involved in any research, any medicinal research, anything along that line? In order to help create the information they say doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, like we do our own internal surveying. I mean, obviously we track our own clients to see what's working for them and try and pass it on to other clients. We do we're the first company to be granted a license to R&D oil, along with then retail the oil. So we have oil on the market. We offer a discount to clients if they participate in a 3-day survey. If they complete the survey, they get a discount the next time the oils are available. So we learn a lot about how they use our oils. And I've been able to digest those surveys and take a look at how are people using our cannabis oil and how is it being, what's their experience like? So we've been doing that type of research at the moment. Yeah. But in terms of having a doctor and clinical and putting together double-blind studies, we're not that big of a company at the moment to do that. Yeah, but I assure you those days will come. If we're given those opportunities, those days will come.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure because there's always research that's needed, and it's great when a company can get involved in it because over the years, obviously, the research, there is some research there, but it's not like what the mainstream would like to see. So, as far as some of the things that Peace Naturals has to offer their clients or their patients, you mentioned you've got oil. Obviously, you've got your dried cannabis herb. Is that herb? Would that be trimmed by hand, or is this stuff done mechanically, or?
Well, I mean, we do the plant goes through a process. The first round of a harvest, the plants are de-leafed by hand. The second round is they do a round of a hand trim. And then the third round is anything big goes through and ultimately gets trimmed that way through a machine. So the final trim.
Yeah, because
fruit.
I know a lot of patients like they like the hand trimming jobs. The machines, sometimes aren't as thorough. So it's good to know that you guys do the hand trimming. Do you guys offer products such as the shake, the trimmings to your patients?
Well, here's the neat thing. We have small flower. We have a small flower strain. It's currently at 18%. So that's like where you say, do you have the shake? We call it, it's all small flower. It started as kind of like a shake, and it's become small flower.
Like I understand one place calls it crumble.
Yeah, so it's all like popcorn bud. So we have like this 18% THC popcorn bud, and it's for like $4.50 a gram, which I find is, that's an acceptable price for 18% THC.
Yeah, 18% for sure. Yeah, that's something that people do look for the THC content, in order to help with their conditions. So it's good to know that, because some people look at that as being an inferior product, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why. I mean, it's all THC. I mean, you're only going to roll it up. You're only going to grind it.
That's right.
Just little popcorn.
You guys got
the clients at Peace Naturals do buy quite a bit of it.
Pardon me?
It is very popular at Peace Naturals because our clients have caught on to it's popcorn bud. It's actually, you're getting a really good deal with $4.50.
Good. Okay, let's see what else. That alternatives, the oils. Do you guys are you looking at, maybe you've got the oil, the buds? Are you looking at other ways of people being able to consume things? Whether maybe would they be looking at making a lotion or a non-smokable way of people to consume the cannabis?
Again, these are all like research and development. These are things that we're definitely down the road would love to offer, but it just, in terms of our own manpower and resources, it's very easy for us to make chia cannabis oil by making bubble hash and then putting, making it into a cannabis oil and then thinning it out for with the chia oil. Versus there's a lot more needs to be done, and a lot more convincing over at Health Canada needs to be done in terms of topicals, any of that type of stuff. Still, Health Canada has a hard time getting around, but they can easily now get their heads around oil. So as soon as you come back and you're like, let's make a topical, it's going to take longer to get approved.
Yeah, well, yeah, it'd just be nice to know if some of the licensed producers were, maybe looking at producing those things and trying to get them approved down the road, just so that patients would know that, hey, somebody's working on something. So
it's not that we're not working on it, and part of the job for me is coming back and saying, hey, we need lip balm, or we need a vapor rub, or I understand there is demand for that. It's just we're not the people at the moment. Hopefully down the road we're going to be the ones that come out and say, hey, we got a topical.
Yeah. Good. Okay, what else I got here? Let's see. You mentioned some community or some outreach, reaching out to patients here and there. Do you guys get involved in any public education, not just through social media, but something where you're talking about the Lift Expo, but do you do any other, where you're talking to people face to face?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been, I went to the 10th annual Sclerodermia fundraising gala in Mississauga a couple weeks back. Put my suit on, and it was a gala, and I won't mention the MP who we sat at the table with, but he wasn't a liberal, nor was he a New Democrat. And while I didn't want to bring up the issue of medicinal cannabis, you could definitely smell in the air medicinal cannabis.
I bet you could.
Right? And then, like, it did come up in conversation about health. I mean, like, I hope afterwards that he didn't ask about, oh, you smell like cannabis. You know, I did talk about my health. You know,
I never questioned it.
Never questioned the cannabis. And I didn't question the 2 bottles of wine he drank at dinner. So I guess we're...
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, if you should be able to, see, my look at down the road is if you can purchase a couple glasses of wine at a location, then, you know, cannabis is a safer alternative. Like, you know, we should be able to purchase cannabis at places like, you know, well, you mentioned earlier, Bill 45, you know, lounges and how it's gonna affect them. You know, if we can sell booze or alcohol at a small little place, we should be able to sell some cannabis at a lounge.
Right. I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean,
no,
it's going to be how it's regulated, and it goes back to what I talk about, security. I mean, Health Canada is never going to allow things like some of the dispensaries where it's like walk right in off the street and see marijuana. They're just not there. I would love to go back and say they're there. You can do this. It's just not something they're prepared to approve. Like, they see it as very offensive. You and I'm not offended by it, but I understand now, like, oh, okay, I get it. This actually genuinely scares you.
When you look at the difference between the procedures that a compassion center would do versus what an LP, I guess, when it comes to growing and stuff like that, would be the concern that I guess you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, like, if you apply some of the like one of the Toronto dispensaries, like, I'm not going to mention their name.
No.
They admit to losing all their patients, including myself, private medical information. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah, no, like, don't need that going on.
We have issues with the art. Some of this is you know, like, I went into a lot of the dispensaries before going to Peace Naturals, and this is personal, very I look around, and some of the compassion clubs are doing correctly. Al and I, if we use the word compassion club, they have a different tone than the dispensary. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the ones I talked to who's been involved in the as a compassion center for a long time, they actually like to use the word wellness center. Yeah, because that's what they're doing, is trying to help people and get them, you know, well, and so on and so forth. We mentioned Bill 45 and, you know, lounges. You were, you know, involved in lounges. You visit them, you know, I know you've visited them often in the past. What do you think that's going to have an effect on patients? You know,
well, I think it impacts patients quite a bit. I mean, I've been concerned about this one for a while. I mean, like, I don't know what the Wynne government thinks. They're, on the one hand, they want to sell cannabis, and it looks like the way the wind is blowing, they want you to buy cannabis in a highly regulated environment, and, you know, and take it into your home, and don't tell anybody, and keep it behind a locked door, and try not to smell, and it's not the legalization I think a lot of people voted for.
No, not for legalization. Yeah, that way. As far as when it comes to the you know, the lounges, the Wynne government coming up with this vape law and saying that it's equally as dangerous as tobacco. Like, where did they get the information? Like, that's just ridiculous.
Well, the Canadian Cancer Society definitely, you know, weighed in pretty heavy. I mean, I remember meeting with them the first time this came up, and it was just like, oh, you know, you're playing against heavy lobbyists now. And I think cannabis people need, like, I think after the march, people were still on Facebook talking about the march and the optics and the image. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Heavy lobbyists have started playing this game. Like, before it used to be very fun to be an activist. You could apply, you could appear before a government agency and committee. They would pat you on the head and it would make you feel like you did something, right? You brought the issue forward. Now, man, they're Canadian Cancer Society. They're high-price lobbyists, not for Feast Naturals, unfortunately. We don't have the money, but Tilray, they have the fellow who ran Justin Trudeau's West Coast campaign lobbying for them. Tweed has a very large Bay Street firm connected to the Liberal campaign, lobbying on their behalf. And who are we? We are getting 10 minutes with, Abby Roach. I'll point this right out. Abby Roach gets 10 minutes with Bill Blair. How do you think the mayor of Toronto is going to get 10 minutes?
Oh, no. They get a lot more than that for sure. For sure, yeah. There's going to be patients, who are going to, suffer. Obviously, they're not going to have a place to go. When we travel, we won't have a place to go where we can medicate safely. It's, lounges are a place where we go and we get together as a community. There's never been, like, when it comes to trouble, afterwards, you don't see the police lined up waiting to take people away like you would in the entertainment district, knowing that there's going to be people who are drunk and stuff. So it just doesn't make sense that to me, as a patient, that they're going to shut us down or shut those lounges down. But maybe they think that they're doing the community good, but to me, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
It doesn't. I think a lot of those dispensaries should change into, like, I don't know. I love lounges, and just to see, I always wish that there were more lounges, areas, and people, because they celebrate the culture that is cannabis. I think they have a role to play in our city. I think the city of Toronto has done a study, and it's concluded that they have a role for disabled people, and I brought that forward. I think... Like I said, I think powerful lobbying is at play from the Canadian Cancer Society, there's some powerful lobbyists in this country now working on cannabis's behalf that want to see cannabis molded at least in the way that they want it to be. They realize that they've lost the fight, but they're not going to give up that easily. They're going to mold it into the way they see fit. And it's still going to mean... The Liberals are tricky. The Conservatives will come right at you, but the Liberals will regulate you out of business any day of the week.
Well, it's interesting to see how all this is unfolding. There's a lot of advocates that have been involved in this for many, many years, and yet they're being shut out. They're not being invited to be involved in discussion. And as you say, if they do get involved, they're only allowed 10 minutes. It's as if does the government still look at these people as being criminals? They don't want to speak to them, or is it just that they have their own mindset how it wants to be done, and that's what they're going to stick to, and they can turn around and say when it's all over, well, we gave you time to talk.
That's what they're doing. 100%. That's what they're doing. They have an agenda, they have a plan, and now they're just going to placate. They stole the vote from the cannabis community. And it goes back to me. I've always advocated against the Liberals. This is exactly what I saw would happen. And to be truthful, there's part of me that's like, you know what? If you're going to brand cannabis at the GMM, you're going to have to follow rules. I hate to break it to you. You got to follow the food labeling rules. So to tie it all back into our discussion, man... You guys aren't advocating anymore. You're just branding. At least, fight.
Yeah. Get involved in it. Get involved. Speak up. Don't just worry about selling your product. Get out there and make your voice heard. Right. So. Right.
And I got, like I said, if you want to brand your product and your cannabis, join the MMPR. Fill out. There's over 300 applicants so far that are just waiting in line.
Yes.
And I would like that. Like, they could, part of me, like, when people talk to me, like, I am worried. Like, I call you out, everybody cannabis workers. Like, what are we going to do about the cannabis workers of the world? The people that are selling cannabis, the people that are growing cannabis, the people that, like, are working in this industry now illegally. Should they not still have work at the end of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Although,
yeah.
That said, there aren't too many people that want to pull hash 7.5 hours a day.
Yeah, well, you've mentioned that a few times throughout the show about water hash. So you guys actually have someone at Peace Naturals who spends 8 hours a day just making hash.
Yeah, that's his name's Brett. He spends 7.5 hours a day pulling bubble bag hash. That's his job.
Probably never thought he would take a paycheck home every week.
No,
doing something like that.
Think of it that way. Like, and like, you see, he was like, yeah, I spent like the first 2 hours. I had the best job in the world. And then what? Then I realized you guys gave me the worst job in the world. I'm like, yeah. He's got the hand mixer and everything going, right? Like,
and he's a guy who has to probably fob. He probably has to fob pretty several times on the way to get into his job too.
Well, you should see the muscles on the guy. He's got muscles he's developing just from pulling the water back.
Really? And you guys use your own water? Like,
yeah, we have our own water well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'd be cold. That'd be cold pulling it out.
You and I laugh. Like, I only know guys who are prepared to do for an hour or two, but his goal is to do 500 grams of bubble hash every day.
Wow. Like, I know just doing one batch for me was an exhausting job. Never mind having to do it day in, day out. So, yeah, I can see where a guy could build some muscles.
Yeah. And this fellow worked construction, and then he was like, this is harder than construction work. And I don't think people understand that. I mean, we're disabled. Like, I have a job. I'm going from my background. Like, I'm working exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think, a lot of us that think, yeah, I'm going to make some hash and do it one day a week for an hour. I hate to break it to you. Those days are coming to an end. Welcome to the guy we got that pulls it for 7.5 hours a day.
Oh, geez, that's just, and even the trimmers, doing that constantly, day in and day out, 7.5 hours a day, it's much different than sitting there in a nice comfy chair, listening to some music and smoking some doobies at the same time.
Big difference. They're allowed to listen to music now, but obviously they don't smoke the doobies. But
no,
yeah, like, think about it in those terms, and I think people have a hard time understanding. Like, man,
and you're there. You've got to stay at your station. You're working away. It's not like you're having your buddies drop in and having a good conversation while you're sitting there with your trimming your buds. It's right. It's work.
Right. It's work. Right. You're in. You're gone through the same security system. You hit the time code puncher, and those guys are there. I work on a salary, but I mean it's work. I mean, like, it is not. It's not what we're doing. It's not what we did. And I talk about it because I'm a personal grower. Like, yeah, I can make bubble hash. Yeah, I can go and help that guy make it. I can be with him. Do I want to do it every day? Do I want to do it for a few hours when I'm at peace? No.
No.
But somebody's got to do that work. We have one person whose job is solely to do clones.
Just clone 7.5 hours a day. Nothing but clone.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And like you say, you got the guy who has to go in and pick up all the leaves and mark them all down. All that as well. So, yeah. All right, Matt. Well, is there anything else that you would like to touch on? We're running here.
I think it was great talking to you tonight.
But I got the okay from the studio, so. I think we just spoke over each other.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on?
No, I think we're good tonight, Al. Thanks for welcoming me back to your show, and I hope, people probably have more questions, and if we got some questions regarding Peace Naturals, check me out at Peace Naturals on Twitter, and I can reply to them, or if you get questions through your show, hopefully you can have me back, and we can answer them then.
Sure, that's right. We can do that. Okay, you gotta throw a shout out, throw a focus on a website, person, place, or thing?
Well, check out our new website at peacenaturals.com. And again, hit me with feedback. I want to know what people think of the information we're providing.
There you go, people. Matt wants some feedback on the information and the stuff that they're sharing online and their website. That way, actually, it helps them make a better site and better information if they get some feedback, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm always prepared to listen to good criticism.
That's right. Exactly. Okay. This is just a reminder to let everybody know that I'll be back next Wednesday with my joint host, Kim Cooper, and her guests as we continue to promote those who are fighting to bring an end to cannabis prohibition. Tonight's song was by Rick Reimer. And we'll hear the whole song when we get done here. And you can find Pace the Pace Radio Show on Facebook and on Twitter at Pace Radio. We can also be found on the web at pace-online.ca, or you can search for us by searching for People Advocating Cannabis Education. Thank yous go out to our sponsor, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics, located in Belleville, Ontario, LRAP or LifestyleRadio.ca. Also, a big thank you to our guest, Matt Murnaugh of Peace Naturals and the author of Marijuana's Smoker's Guidebook. Looking forward to the release in 2017 of the new book. Plus, a big thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning into the program. Thank you, and good night.
Little story about a guy named Bob. A proud Rasta man didn't want to steal the rod, but he had to feed his family. Things were getting hard, so he plants a little ganja in his backyard. Pot, that is, Acapulco Gold, Sensi Tea. First thing you know, those plants are getting tall. The neighbors come and sus and look over the wall. They said, hey Bob, growing ganja you can't do. He loaded up his seeds and he moved to Killaloo. Hills, that is, swimming old, shooting stars. In the hills liked having Bob around. He grew the finest ganja from here to Wilno Town. He lived in the woods, didn't do no one no harm. The buds on his plants grew as thick as your arm. Little mix-up about life in Killaloo. There's way too much police with not enough to do. When Rastaman go ganja, it just takes a little time till Johnny Law comes to the scene of the crime. Felony, that is. Helicopters, taser guns. Find so much ganja that they can hardly wait. They build a great big fire and begin to eradicate. They tell Bob, you're lucky we don't charge you for your sin. Only trouble is, police are standing downwind. From the ganja fire, that is. Secondhand smoke, my cheese big time. Now comes the hungry part. Well, the police get high and they forget to look around. They get their lights a-flashing and they leave for Pembroke Town. They eat all the food that Tim Hortons can provide. Every donut shop got a cruiser outside. Bavarian cream, that is, miss. What do you mean? Please don't pay for coffee around here. Now comes the sad part. Well, the folks in the hills, they smell the ganja fire. They look upon the burning field and cry and cry and cry. Says Bob, I got a secret tucked up under my hat. I got 3 more fields bigger than that. Well, the moral of the story is very plain to see. You needn't be an Einstein to fool the OPP. If you were only conscious and prepared to stand tall, Babylon systems surely must fall. And that's the story of the Killaloo Rastaman.
This is Bubbles from the trailer park, and they're playing some fucking excellent music on LifestyleRadio.ca. I hope I didn't sound too nervous there.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The girl of your dreams has got to be in some bar.
Sorry, boys and girls, but this is X-rated. So if you're under 18...
Get out, goddammit! Get the point? Good.
Enough?
Bend over.
Y'all ready for this?
Get it up. Get it up. I can't wait anymore.
I like to watch.
Whatever you desire. I know you like it. Do it.
We do it all night long.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Here I am going nowhere again. Guess I was just waiting for you to hold my hand. And I don't know if she's coming, but I'm waiting in the rain, in the rain, in the rain, in the rain. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Yeah, guess that's just the way that it goes. Well, young banditos come partners in crime. Caught in the act, now they're doing some time. And I may not be a free man. Well, at least I can love. I can love, I can love, I can love. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Yeah, guess that's just the way that it goes. Be patient, my brother, you ain't never gonna know how long you here alone? How long you be standing here alone? How long will I stay here alone? How long will I stay here alone? I don't know. She came along and she took my hand. Say, ride with me, boy, fast as you can. And I don't know how far we'll get. Well, at least I did try. I did try, I did try, I did try. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Guess that's just the way that it goes. Yeah, that's just the way that it goes.
Many, the side effects of using prescription medication can be debilitating, and in some cases may even be worse than the disease being treated. When many of these medications are stopped, especially opiate narcotics like oxycodone, codeine, or morphine, some patients are forced to deal with the side effects of withdrawal. The symptoms of withdrawal may include anxiety, muscle spasticity, difficulty breathing, tremors, nausea, and a decrease in appetite. For centuries, these symptoms have been successfully treated by using cannabis while offering aid and relief to the underlying cause for the medication. Cannabis has been proven to be non-toxic and is known to not adversely interact with any other medication. In 2000, Health Canada approved the medicinal use of cannabis for a wide range of conditions to improve the lives of Canadians. Side effects of cannabis may include increased appetite, dry mouth, euphoria, or drowsiness. As with any medication, care must be taken when initially treating conditions with cannabis until the proper dose is established. Cannabis may not be for everyone, but it may be a healthy answer for you. Talk to your doctor or contact us online at
Out in the schoolyard, little peaches play. Grow up